I used to believe secrets were safe with people who said they loved you. Back then, my best friend Claire was the person I trusted most in the world. We met in college, both dreaming big, both poor and full of plans. When I met Ryan, my fiancé, she was the first person I told. She was happy for me, at least she looked that way. My biggest secret wasn't about Ryan, though. It was about my past, something painful I'd told no one else. When I finally confessed it to Claire one night after too much wine, she held my hand and said, "You're safe with me." I believed her. Months later, Ryan proposed at sunset, and Claire helped plan the wedding. Everything felt perfect until one night. Everything shattered. Ryan stopped answering my calls. Guests canceled. Whispers started spreading through our small town. And when I finally found out why, my heart stopped. Claire had told everyone my secret, twisting it into something ugly. By morning, my reputation was gone. By noon, so was Ryan. And the worst part? Claire wasn't sorry. That night, I stared at my reflection and whispered, "I'll make her regret this." I didn't know then. I'd get that chance years later. The week after Ryan left was a blur. My phone buzzed with messages I couldn't bear to read. Old friends avoided me. Even my coworkers looked at me differently. The story Claire spread had grown like a storm. She'd told Ryan that my secret was a lie I'd kept to manipulate him, that I had cheated before, that I wasn't who he thought I was. None of it was true. When I tried to explain, he just shook his head. "You should have told me the truth earlier," he said quietly. Claire wouldn't lie about this. That sentence cut deeper than any insult. Claire, my best friend, was the one he believed. She comforted him publicly, took my side in front of others, and whispered poison behind closed doors. Within days, she had everyone thinking she was the victim of my dishonesty. By the end of the month, she and Ryan were seen together at the same cafe where he had proposed to me. I remember watching from across the street, numb. They laughed like they had no guilt at all. That was the day I left town. I packed my things, took the night bus, and promised myself one thing. If life ever brought us face to face again, I wouldn't run. Years passed. I built a quiet life in another city, working as a graphic designer. People there didn't know my story, and I didn't tell it. Still, some nights I'd scroll through social media, searching for them. Claire and Ryan got married a year after my disappearance. Her smile in the photos looked perfect, too perfect. I didn't hate them anymore, not exactly. What I felt was emptier, heavier. Then one afternoon, I got an email from a law firm. It was about a charity project for a big company launching a campaign, and they wanted me to design it. The company's name caught my eye immediately. Lansford Media. Ryan's company. I froze. Part of me wanted to delete the email, but something in me whispered, "Maybe this is your chance." I accepted. 2 weeks later, I walked into a meeting room, and there they were. Ryan looked older, more serious. Claire, still stunning, turned pale when she saw me. Her smile wavered as she stood. "You?" I smiled back, calm. "Me." The room went quiet. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one on the defensive. This time she was. Claire tried to act unfazed, but I could see the panic behind her eyes. Ryan looked confused, glancing between us. "You two know each other?" he asked. She laughed a little too loudly. "College friends. Lost touch." I nodded. "Something like that." The meeting went smoothly, at least on the surface. I presented ideas, and Ryan seemed impressed. Claire stayed quiet, her hands gripping the table. Afterward, as the others left, she caught my arm. "Why are you here?" she hissed. "Because I earned it," I said. "You didn't ruin me completely." Her jaw tightened. "If you're planning something..." I cut her off. "Relax. I'm just here to do my job." But we both knew it wasn't that simple. Over the next few weeks, we saw each other often. Every smile we exchanged was sharp-edged. Ryan was polite but distant with her, and I noticed. Claire noticed too. One evening, after a long day, he offered to walk me to my car. "It's good working with you again," he said. I looked at him, unsure if he remembered the past. "Yeah," I said softly. "It's good." Claire stood in the doorway behind us, watching. And that's when I realized she was afraid. After that night, Claire's mask began to slip. At meetings, she interrupted me. She changed project plans without telling anyone. It was subtle, but I saw through it. I wasn't there for revenge, not yet. But I wanted her to feel the weight of her own lies. Then something unexpected happened. Ryan invited me to a company dinner. "Claire can't make it," he said, "but it'd be great if you came." I hesitated. Every part of me screamed no, but another voice whispered yes. The dinner was elegant, filled with polished laughter and clinking glasses. Ryan and I talked easily like old friends. He asked about my life, my work, everything. I kept my answer simple. When the evening ended, he looked at me for a long moment. "I never got to apologize," he said quietly, "for believing the wrong person." My heart skipped. "It's in the past," I said, though we both knew it wasn't. That night, I couldn't sleep. Because if Ryan was starting to question her, then Claire's perfect world was about to crack. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to stop it. The following week, Claire cornered me in the office kitchen. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. "Stay away from Ryan." I raised an eyebrow. "I work with him. You suggested this partnership, remember?" She stepped closer. "You think you can come back here and embarrass me? Don't forget what happened last time." Her words made my stomach twist, but I didn't show it. "Oh, I remember," I said quietly. "Do you?" For a second, her confidence cracked. That night, I opened an old email folder, one I hadn't touched in years. Back when Claire ruined my name, I'd kept screenshots, messages, and photos. Proof of her betrayal. I'd hidden them because I didn't want revenge back then. But now, maybe it was time. When I looked closer, I found something I hadn't noticed before, an old forwarded email from Ryan. Attached was a message between Claire and someone else discussing me. And one line made my hands tremble. "She'll never know what we did." What had they done? For the first time, I realized Claire's betrayal might have gone even deeper than I thought. And Ryan, he might not be innocent at all. The next day, I couldn't focus. That email kept replaying in my mind. What had Claire meant by what we did? I started digging quietly, checking old social media accounts, even old photos from college. There were clues I'd missed before, times Ryan had canceled on me, claiming to work late, while Claire's posts showed her out at the same events. Maybe their affair hadn't started after the breakup. Maybe it had started long before. At lunch, Ryan found me sitting alone in the courtyard. "You seem distant," he said. I forced a smile. "Just tired." He studied me for a moment. "You know, Claire and I haven't been close for a long time." The confession caught me off guard. "What do you mean?" He sighed. "Things aren't good. She's different now." I didn't answer. I couldn't. He looked like he wanted to say more, but then Claire appeared at the door, watching us with eyes full of fire. He stood quickly. "See you tomorrow," he muttered. I sat there staring at my reflection in the coffee cup. If the truth was about to surface, I needed to be ready for it. And deep down, I knew someone was about to get hurt. Later that week, the campaign team met for a late-night planning session. The room buzzed with tired energy, papers scattered everywhere. Ryan sat across from me, his tie loose, his expression softer than I remembered. When the others left, he stayed. "Do you ever think about the past?" he asked. I looked at him, weighing my words. "Sometimes. But I try not to live there." He nodded slowly. "I made mistakes back then." I waited, but he didn't explain. Just as I was about to leave, Claire walked in. Her face darkened when she saw us. "Working late again?" she asked, her voice like ice. Ryan stood, weary. "Claire, not now." She turned to me. "You think you're clever, don't you? You think you can waltz back in and take everything from me?" I stepped forward. "I don't need to take what was never real." Her eyes narrowed. "You should have stayed gone." I walked past her, but before I reached the door, she whispered something that stopped me cold. "I'm not the only one who lied to you, Emily." I turned, but she was already smiling, calm, confident, dangerous. And for the first time, I wasn't sure who the real villain was. I couldn't shake her words. "I'm not the only one who lied to you." The next morning, I called my friend Leah, the only person from college who had stayed loyal to me after the scandal. When I told her about the email, she hesitated. "There's something you should know," she said quietly.
What?
She sighed. "Claire came to me years ago. She said you were hiding something serious. She claimed you had covered for someone else, someone close." My heart pounded.
Who?
"Ryan," she said. "She said he was caught in something illegal at the firm back then and you helped bury it." I froze. That wasn't true, but if she told that story back then, it explained everything. Claire had made it look like I was the manipulator, protecting a guilty man. I ended the call shaking. Had Ryan known? That evening, I found him in the office parking lot. "We need to talk," I said. He looked startled.
About what?
I showed him the printed email.
About this.
He went pale. Before he could answer, Claire's car pulled in beside us. She stepped out, her smile sharp. "Perfect timing," she said. "Maybe it's time everyone knew the truth." The air between us was electric. Ryan looked trapped. Claire looked thrilled. "Stop," he said, his voice strained. "Not here." I crossed my arms. "Why not? You both owe me answers." Claire tilted her head, pretending to think.
Fine.
"I'll tell her." Ryan grabbed her arm. "Don't." She yanked away. "You think you can protect her after what you did?" He turned to me then, face pale, eyes desperate. "It's not what you think." I stepped back. "Then tell me what it is." Claire folded her arms, victorious. "He didn't leave you because of what I said. He left you because he was already guilty, Emily. He used you to hide his own mess." My chest tightened. "You're lying." "Am I?" she said softly. "Ask him about the missing funds. The ones that disappeared right before you left town." I looked at Ryan, searching his face for denial, for anything. But he just lowered his eyes. Something inside me broke. Claire smiled, satisfied. "Guess secrets aren't safe with anyone, huh?" She walked away, her heels clicking like gunshots. Ryan whispered, "I can explain." But I didn't wait to hear it. This time, I was the one who walked away. I didn't go to work the next day. My phone buzzed with calls from Ryan, but I ignored them all. I needed time to think. The accusation about the missing funds haunted me. I had no idea what she meant. Back then, I'd been working part-time at Ryan's firm while in school. I remembered an audit, a few tense meetings, but Ryan told me it was nothing. What if it hadn't been? I searched my old laptop, digging through archived files and emails. There it was, a folder marked budget reports. I opened the last one I'd ever touched. The numbers didn't add up. Someone had transferred money right before I quit. The sender's initials, RW. Ryan Walters. So Claire hadn't made that part up. My stomach turned. I thought about all the nights I defended him, how I'd taken blame for something I didn't even understand. And now, years later, he was acting like the victim. That evening, I finally answered his call. His voice sounded tired. "Please, Emily, let me explain." "Then meet me," I said. We agreed on the old cafe, where everything once began. As I ended the call, I didn't feel scared anymore. I felt ready. The cafe hadn't changed. Same faded red walls, same smell of burnt coffee. When Ryan walked in, his eyes softened like old times. "Thank you for coming," he said quietly. I didn't answer. I just placed the printed report between us. "You stole company funds." He closed his eyes.
Yes.
But it wasn't like that. "Then how is it?" He exhaled. "Back then, my father was sick. I needed money for treatment, and I panicked. I planned to pay it back before anyone noticed. But Claire found out. I stared. And she used it." He nodded slowly. "She said she'd protect me if I helped her get rid of you. She told me you'd ruin everything if the truth came out." "So, you let her destroy me instead?" I asked, voice shaking. His eyes filled with regret. I was weak. I've paid for it ever since. I wanted to hate him. I really did. But the exhaustion in his voice sounded real. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "She didn't stop there, Emily. She's been keeping something else, something about you." My heart pounded. "What do you mean?" He looked around nervously. She's not finished yet. I left the cafe with a storm of thoughts. Claire wasn't just afraid of me. She was hiding something bigger. But what? The next morning, I received an anonymous text. Check your inbox. You deserve to know. My stomach twisted. I opened my email. There was a video file attached, security footage from a company server. The title read, Conference Room, April 12th. I clicked it. The video showed Claire alone in the office late at night. She was copying documents from a folder labeled Client Payments. Then she made a call. I've got it, she whispered. If this leaks, he's done.
Who was he?
Seconds later, I saw her slide another folder into her purse, one marked with my name. It hit me like lightning. Claire had been keeping evidence against both of us, waiting for the perfect moment to use it. That moment might be now. I called Ryan. She's setting something up. He sounded panicked. I know. The board meeting's tomorrow. If she shows that video, she could ruin both of us. I swallowed hard. Then we can't let her. He paused. What are you planning? I looked at the screen, still frozen on Claire's smirk. Something she'll never see coming. That night, I barely slept. Every hour, I replayed the video, planning my next move. Claire wanted power. She built her whole career on secrets, mine, Ryan's, maybe even others. But power has one weakness. It needs control. And I was about to take that away. At dawn, I drove to the office and waited. Ryan arrived soon after, pale but determined. We went over the plan. He'd distract her during the board meeting. I'd present the project files, which now included the footage I'd received. By the time the executives gathered, the air felt heavy with tension. Claire entered last, smiling confidently. She started her presentation smoothly, praising the campaign, highlighting the numbers. Then, with perfect drama, she turned toward me. And of course, she said sweetly, we can't forget Emily's past experience. My pulse raced. I stepped forward calm. You're right. We shouldn't. I plugged in my drive and pressed play. The screen flickered, then showed her. The secret recording. Gasps filled the room. Claire froze, her confidence draining as the video showed her stealing files and scheming. When it ended, silence fell. Ryan looked at her coldly. Looks like the truth finally surfaced. And for once, Claire had nothing to say. Security escorted Claire out of the building. I stood there, watching her struggle to maintain composure. She glanced back at me, fury in her eyes. This isn't over, she hissed. Maybe not, but it was for now. After the chaos settled, Ryan and I were called into the director's office. They praised my professionalism and removed Claire from the project permanently. She was done. But even as relief washed over me, something didn't feel right. The video hadn't answered everything. It had just exposed one piece of her scheme. Later that evening, Ryan met me outside. Thank you, he said quietly. I didn't do it for you, I replied. He nodded. I know, but you saved us both. I turned to leave, but he stopped me. There's one more thing, he said, reaching into his coat pocket. He handed me a small flash drive. She dropped this when security took her out. I frowned. What's on it? He shook his head. I didn't look, but it's labeled with your name. I stared at it, a cold wave running through me. My name. Again. As I closed my hand around the drive, one thought echoed in my mind. What else had she been hiding about me? I sat in my car staring at the flash drive. My name written on it in Claire's handwriting made my stomach turn. Why would she keep something about me after all these years? At home, I finally found the courage to plug it into my laptop. Inside was one folder labeled Insurance. I clicked it open. It wasn't just about me, it was everything. Screenshots, old text messages, photos from college, even forged emails that painted me as a liar and thief. She had planned everything down to the smallest detail, ready to destroy me again if I ever resurfaced. Then I found one more file, confession_audio, MP3. When I pressed play, Claire's voice filled the room. If you're hearing this, it means my plan failed. But at least she'll know. I didn't act alone. I froze. She listed a name. Not Ryan. Not anyone I knew. Someone much higher. Someone inside the company. It wasn't just about betrayal anymore. This was bigger, darker. As the recording ended, I realized something terrifying. If Claire had disappeared with evidence that could destroy a powerful person, then finding her might not be about revenge. It might be about survival. The next morning, I couldn't reach Ryan. His phone went straight to voicemail. At work, people whispered about police cars seen near his neighborhood. I tried to focus, but my thoughts raced. The voice in the recording said Claire wasn't working alone. Could Ryan be in danger? By noon, I drove to his house. The front gate was open. His car was gone. On the porch lay a single envelope with my name on it. Inside was a short note, written in his messy handwriting. If anything happens to me, trust no one. Find Claire before they do. I gripped the paper until my hands shook. Then I heard a knock behind me. A man in a dark suit stood there. Emily Gray? He asked. Yes. I'm Detective Halden. We need to ask you a few questions about your colleague, Mr. Walters. He's missing. My heart stopped. Missing? Since when? Since last night, he said. And his last call was to you. I glanced at the note again, then back at the detective. Ryan's warning echoed in my mind. Trust no one. Of course, I said, forcing a smile. I'll help however I can. But inside, I was terrified. Someone was cleaning up loose ends. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in my apartment sounded like footsteps. Every shadow felt alive. I replayed Claire's audio again and again, searching for clues. In the background, I heard something faint, a train horn, and what sounded like an intercom voice announcing a station. Claire was near the city's old train depot. I grabbed my keys. The depot had been closed for years, but a few of the offices nearby still had lights on. I found one flickering window on the second floor. My heart pounded as I climbed the stairs. Inside, papers were scattered everywhere. It looked like someone had left in a hurry. On the desk sat a photo. Me, Ryan, and Claire from college, smiling. Then I saw it. A small flash drive identical to the one Ryan had given me, taped under the desk. I pocketed it, ready to leave, until a voice came from behind me. I knew you'd come. I spun around. Claire stood in the doorway, hair messy, eyes red. You're supposed to be gone, I whispered. She smiled weakly. And you were supposed to stay quiet. For a moment, we just stared at each other. She looked nothing like the confident woman I remembered. Her hands trembled. They're watching everything, she said quietly. You shouldn't have come. Who's they? I demanded. The ones I tried to expose, she whispered. The company's been laundering money for years. Ryan didn't know the full story, but when I tried to stop it, they turned on me. My pulse quickened. Then why frame me? Tears filled her eyes. Because they threatened to destroy me if I didn't. You were the easiest target.
I'm sorry, Emily. Sorry.
The word felt too small for the years I'd lost. She handed me a sealed envelope. Everything's in here. Proof, documents, names. You need to take it to the police. I took it, still shaking. Come with me. She shook her head. I can't. They'll find me if I leave. I started to argue, but headlights flashed through the window. Claire's face went pale. It's too late. Before I could react, she pushed me toward the back door. Go! I stumbled into the alley, clutching the envelope. When I looked back, she was gone. I ran until my lungs burned. Behind me, sirens wailed. By the time I reached my apartment, the city felt different, quieter, heavier. I tore open the envelope. Inside were pages of documents linking company executives to offshore accounts, including signatures, receipts, and one more shocking detail. The top name on the list wasn't Ryan. It was the company director, Mr. Hale. The same man who had praised me the day Claire was exposed. He was behind it all. That's why Claire had been hunted. That's why Ryan vanished. I printed copies of everything and hid them in my kitchen vent. Then, I sent one anonymous copy to Detective Halden. Within hours, the story hit the local news. Lansford Media under investigation for fraud. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. I answered cautiously. Hello.
A deep.
The warning wasn't from the police. Someone else knew exactly what I'd done. And they weren't finished with me yet.
I didn't sleep that night.
Every sound outside made me jump. My mind kept replaying the call. How calm that voice was. How certain. Whoever it was, they knew everything. By morning, my phone buzzed again. This time it was a text. Meet me at the park where you and Claire used to run. Noon. Come alone. I hesitated, but I had no choice. If they wanted me silenced, they didn't need to send a warning first. Voice said, "You made a mistake, Miss Gray." The warning wasn't from the police. Someone else knew exactly what I'd done. And they weren't finished with me yet. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound outside made me jump. My mind kept replaying the call. How calm that voice was. How certain. Whoever it was, they knew everything. By morning, my phone buzzed again. This time it was a text. Meet me at the park where you and Claire used to run.
Noon.
Come alone. I hesitated, but I had no choice. If they wanted me silenced, they didn't need to send a warning first. At noon, I walked to the park. The winter air stung my face. People passed by with coffee cups, unaware that my heart was racing. Then I saw him, Mr. Hale, sitting on a bench, reading a newspaper. "Emily," he said calmly when I approached. "You've made things complicated." "You framed me," I said, my voice shaking. "You used Claire, ruined her life, ruined mine." He smiled faintly. "You were convenient. Now you're a liability." Before I could react, he handed me an envelope. Inside is a non-disclosure agreement and a payment. Sign it and disappear. I stared at him. "And if I don't?" He leaned closer. "Then you'll end up like your friend." I clenched my fists. Claire had risked everything to expose him. I wasn't going to walk away. When I got home, I opened the envelope. It wasn't just a contract, it was a trap. If I signed it, I'd be admitting to crimes he committed. My pulse raced. I needed help, but I couldn't trust the police. Not yet. That's when I remembered something Claire once told me. If things ever go bad, find Islaw. Islaw had been our journalism professor, now an investigative reporter. She'd always told us the truth would protect us if we were brave enough to chase it. I found her number online and called. "Professor Islaw, it's Emily Gray. I need to see you now." An hour later, I was sitting in her small office surrounded by stacks of papers. When I explained everything, she didn't flinch. "Claire reached out to me months ago," Islaw said quietly. "She said if anything happened to her, you'd finish what she started." She opened a drawer and handed me a small recorder. "She left this for you." When I pressed play, Claire's trembling voice filled the room. "Emily, if you're hearing this, they know about the files. Hale won't stop. He's capable of anything. Don't trust anyone in his circle." Then her voice broke. "Please finish what I couldn't." That recording changed everything. I wasn't just clearing my name anymore. I was fighting for Claire's life, for the truth she died protecting. With Islaw's help, we made a plan. She would contact a federal investigator she trusted. I would keep Hale distracted, pretending to consider his offer. For days, I acted the part of a frightened woman ready to give up. Hale seemed satisfied. "Smart choice," he said, handing me another check. "You'll find life much easier if you stay quiet." But behind the scenes, Islaw's contact gathered everything: documents, recordings, even Hale's secret transactions. One night, while I waited for Islaw's call, I noticed a car parked across the street from my apartment. Its lights were off, but someone sat inside, watching. My stomach tightened. I texted Islaw. "They're onto us." Her reply came instantly. "Stay calm. FBI raids are tomorrow morning. Just hold on." I barely slept. At dawn, I peeked through the blinds. The same car was still there. Then suddenly it started. My phone buzzed again, but it wasn't Islaw. It was a video message. Hale was in it, smiling coldly. "Did you really think you'd win, Emily?" he said. "You never learned when to stop digging." I froze. Hale's voice was calm, but the background in the video made my blood run cold. It was Isla's office. Papers scattered, drawers open. He'd found her. I grabbed my coat and ran. The streets blurred as I sped toward her building. When I got there, police cars already lined the road. A young officer stopped me. "Ma'am, you can't go in." "What happened?" I demanded. "Possible break-in. One woman injured. She's being taken to the hospital." My heart twisted. "Is she?" "She's alive," he said quickly, "but unconscious." At the hospital, I sat outside Isla's room. The doctors said she'd recover, but her injuries were serious. While waiting, I noticed something clutched in her hand, a small USB drive. The nurse said she wouldn't let it go, even unconscious. When I plugged it into my laptop later, I found one video file. It showed Hale arguing with another man in his office, admitting everything. Money laundering, blackmail, framing Claire and me. Finally, I had proof no one could deny. The next morning, I sent copies to every news outlet and federal contact Claire had ever trusted. Within hours, Hale's world exploded. But I didn't feel relief, only fear. He wasn't the type to go down quietly. 2 weeks later, it was all over the news. Corporate CEO arrested in fraud and conspiracy case. Hale's smug face flashed across every channel. The truth was out. Claire's name was finally cleared. So was mine. When I visited Isla in the hospital, she smiled weakly. "You did it, Emily. Claire would be proud." I nodded, tears filling my eyes. "I just wish she could see this." "She does," Isla said softly. "You carried her truth." A few days later, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single photograph. It was Claire, standing on a beach, alive. On the back, in her handwriting, were 5 words. "Told you I'd survive anything." I laughed through my tears. She'd faked her death to finish the plan safely. I texted Isla the picture. Her reply came fast. "Looks like your story isn't over yet." That night, I sat on my balcony, watching the city lights. After years of lies, betrayal, and fear, I finally felt free. Claire had been right all along. The truth always finds its way out. And this time, it had burned brighter than every secret meant to hide it.